private investigators. And of course, in Rotary, she has served in many capacities, including district governor, and she is currently our current district trainer for District Governor Leo Cheng Lim. So it's with great pleasure and without much ado, I'd like to give the floor to our past District Governor, Siti Subaidah.
Hi, Siva. Thank you very much. And good morning, everyone. It's 11 o'clock and glad that we have this session. And thank you, DGN, incoming governor, as well as our incoming trainer for putting together Rotary Open Opportunities Masterclass. We're going to run through this 1 hour session. And hopefully the sharing session would also not only open opportunities for your club, but open our thoughts process in what is needed in club strategic plan. And that's the topic that we're going to talk about today. And in addressing this topic, we will address 3 main areas. Yeah, we'll be looking at the background of what strategic plan, RI strategic plan is all about. We will look at the, sorry, it just went back again. Okay, we will look at the, just when running again, let me just got this, okay. We'll be looking at the 3 areas, which is the RI strategic plan, the new strategic plan, and of course, the next thing we'll be looking at is the process of how clubs can carry out their own strategic plan, because that is more important. It's just not about talking about strategic plan, but how clubs should carry out and plan their own club strategic plan. Now, in looking at that, let's look at the background of strategic plan in RI. Okay, in the year 2002-2017, RI survey came out with these facts. Worldwide survey outcome, there's been a decline in membership. Rotary has not been attractive. Limited voice overall, less funding for our project. And so based on all these outcomes, they came up with 3 areas or 4 areas that we need to be focused on. And I think we all have been talking about this. The 4 areas: public image, membership, leadership in Rotary, leadership in clubs, right? And of course, the retention part, which is very, very crucial. We've been losing members. We gain 100, we lose 150. So these are the areas that in that survey, it came about for Rotary clubs and RI to focus on. And therefore, they came out with this strategic plan. And I'm sure all of you will be very familiar with this, using our 5 core values of service, fellowship, diversity, integrity, and leadership. The 3 main areas that we talked about: to strengthen the clubs, to focus on increased humanitarian service, and of course, to enhance public image. But if you look at this center circle, it's all about Rotarians. We talk about Rotarians being inspired individuals who translate their passion, and we do social service to change community lives. But these are just statements. So what happened to this strategic plan? Nothing changed. Our numbers did not change. We did not grow. So RI decided to look at the mirror and ask themselves these questions. It's a self-assessment. So they decided, instead of looking within ourselves, let's look outside of Rotary. What people think of what Rotary is all about. So they did, in 2015, a public survey of 15 countries. It's 15 countries, guys, not 500 countries, okay? So it's 15 countries. And you know, what is it that motivates them to join a service organization? So these 15 countries, and it's a public survey, not to Rotarians. This is the result. People came about saying that if they were to join a service organization, there must be a purpose. right? Why are they joining it? And of course, in today's millennium youth society, they want to know why. There must be a certain cause of joining that association or a service, any service organization for that matter. And of course, that service organization must be reputable, right? And of course, their programs must cover a wide scope, whether it's going to talk about community, humanitarian service, young, new generations. So these are the 4 areas that the public looked at if they want to join any service organization. And this is where we stand. 74% were aware of Rotary. I mean, that's not bad, you know, for Rotary to be on the 3rd position after UNICEF and of course Lions Club. And to be in the 3rd position, 74% of people who's aware of Rotary, they know enough that Rotary is doing good in the world. So we are up there. Even in the Charity Navigator, for 11 years, we are running tops. So which means we are doing good. But why are we not growing? Why is it that people don't know enough of us? So this was what the result came about. What was our challenge? Out of that 74% of people or standing we have, only 35% says they will join an organization like Rotary. Or you know, that's Rotary. Only said 35% who say Rotary is for me. And 25% only know somebody in Rotary. So where are we? People do not know enough how we do good in the world. They know we do good, but how do we do good in the world? That is the problem, right? So RI came up with what we call a new plan. And so this is the plan. Because they want to do a stronger, we need to look at more effective Rotary, more inclusive, more open to new members, and of course to new ideas. So they came up with this. And this is the new strategic plan and action plan. It's just not about telling you we are this, we are that, but a plan of action. We need to work on it. We need to work around the strategic plan. And it's also planned for a period of 5 years, focusing on 4 priorities. And this is where RI has come up with a new strategic plan of the 4 priorities. Priority 1, increase our impact. You know, we just, you know, people say we shock sendiri all the time, right? We call ourselves people of action and we are effective problem solvers. But how do we translate that to make a difference in somebody's life? There must be impactful. People must know that our projects is just not a one-off project. We must have something sustainable, long-term, and people will recognize us and we make that difference. It must be seen, not we looking at it and projecting ourselves, but others must see us doing it and others must talk about it, not we talking about it, right? Second priority, expand our reach. Now, people of action, okay, that is the PI campaign that RI has gone in, called ourselves People of Action. We are active and we should inspire one another. So how do we inspire others to join us? For example, right now we are into this COVID drive. How many of us, you know, all clubs are out there, they're doing great work, but are we inspiring people to eventually join us so that we can do greater work? Just looking at the work that we do, or they just say, oh, thank you, Rotary, thank you very much for giving us the food. And that's it, we don't go further. So what can we do to inspire us, inspire them to join us, right? Engagement, that's the third one. We strive to understand the needs of others. And this is, I think, one of those setbacks that we have. We always do things that we want to do. We do not look at things, what others, the needs of others, you know. We have to put that into the priority before we do any project. And that's why if you look at global grants, any grant application, the needs assessment is so crucial, you know, and that is something that we have to do. Look at engaging others for what they need, not for what we want to do. And of course, the fourth priority is to increase our ability to adapt. And this is the other thing. I mean, with the issue, I think those of you attended yesterday's session about Rotaract coming into Rotary, right? There's so many challenges to it. But how do we adapt to these challenges where we are actually welcoming a new wave of young people to join us to become part of Rotary? How do we adapt to those things? How do we engage with them, right? Because they are the ones who's going to be the next generation of Rotarians. So if we don't start adapting and changing the way we do things, it's very difficult to bring people into our fold. So this is the new RI strategic plan, the strategic plan, which are actionable, right? So let's look at your club now. What is the process? We have already heard about RI's, the history of the background of what the strategic plan has been since 2002, the challenges we go through. And now RI has come up with this new strategic plan with the 4 priorities. So today, let's look at what your club has. So ask yourself these 3 questions. Does your club have a strategic plan? If yes, when was the last time your club reviewed your club strategic plan? If there are PEs in this chat group, if you recall during our session at the pre-packs, right? I think I addressed this and said that, go back to your club, look at those strategic plans that your club have had. Some of the clubs had a strategic plan, but they were like 5 years old, 4 years old. And today, we need to change them. You need to look at changing them, yeah? So if you don't have a strategic plan, let's start planning. So how do we go about it? This is how we go about it. First, determine your status. How is your club doing now? Do a self-assessment, right? Identify strategic issues to address that your club has. Do a SWOT analysis, the strength in your club, the weakness in your clubs, okay? Do an analysis of what is the capacity that your club is standing at right now based on your current membership, right? Different club with different size has got different capacity, has got different culture, different ideologies, different workings, right? And determine and assess every member's strength. I think we tend to forget that every member has a strength. Assess those strengths and whether we ourselves has given a member the satisfaction of their membership in our club, right? And then identify opportunities and challenges in the community. Now you have a group of Rotarians in your club. How do you now engage and do projects in the community? So what is your club and how is your club doing? Phase 2, develop a vision. Okay, after assessing the status of your club, what do you want your club to be like? Least 5 to 7 characteristics that you want your club to have and create a vision. I give you an example of Rotary Club of PJ. Okay, I remember, a couple of years back, they have probably no lady members, and then they had this thing about their clubs are also aging, so they need to grow their club. They want to bring in lady members. Okay, this was maybe about 6 years back, and they did. In fact, they didn't even bake the cake. They even had icing on the cake. Not only bringing in the ladies to the club, the last 5 years, it has been lady presidents in the club. So they had a vision, they had they saw the status of the club and they tried and they changed it. Then now we have newer members in the club, they have lady presidents in the club. So they are moving forward and now the club is engaging with the community. So you need to look at those challenges you have in your club and see where you want to go. Phase 3, make a plan. It's no point talking about it and without having to document your plan. Set your strategic priorities. What is your club priority? A priority of Club A is different from a priority of Club B. Greater KL may have a different priority. Alpha Ampang may have a different priority. So set priorities that is relevant, achievable within your club. Same thing to your goals. What goals are you looking at? And the activities and timeline and the resources that you need, okay? And of course, Phase 4, how is your club doing? See, sometimes when we start planning, we implement certain things, but we do not monitor. We do not realize, we don't do it a review every year. Where are we with our plans? And if we are not achieving those plans, why? Do we need to adjust those plans? Yes, we do, right? So these are the 4 phases. If you can plan with your club members, you can set your own goals. You have a strategic plan in place for your club. So instead of just planning and talking and planning and talking, which sometimes we are very good at it, let's start doing. Let's start doing something. Setting strategic priorities to achieve your annual goal and vision. And this has been our 4 key areas: membership, service project, TRF, and public image, right? This is a simple chart that you can use. What are your annual goals? What action do you want out of it? What are the resources you need? For example, if you're talking about service project, how many service projects do you want to do? Is it within your community? Is it outside your community? Right? And the member assigned to it, and give them a timeline. So every priority, every area of focus in your club, you can set your own strategic plan, right? And then what happens? You need to track them. So in terms of tracking them, again, go back to your annual goals. Do this review every 6 months, because as an incoming club president, when you like district, we have a midterm review, right? Review your 6 months and see whether your goals have been met. If it's unmet, why is it unmet? You need to adjust those goals, right? So if you are continually looking at the strategic plan of your club and start reviewing them every half a year or annually, then you'll be able to look at where you are going in the next 5 years. Okay? So when you start doing this, you will look at the Rotary strategic plan. You will look at your club's vision goals plan, your club's vision, right? And we're all talking about the same 4 things: membership, service, tiara giving, and public image. Use the RI strategy plan. Impact, expand, engage, and adapt in all the priority plannings you have in the 4 areas of focus for your club. Because these are the 4 things. Like it or not, they are interrelated. These 4 areas are the ones that will see the progress and development of your club. But each club, again, has a different way of doing it, has a different focus of doing it, but use the RI strategic plan of action so that whatever that you plan has an impact. Whatever that you do, you can expand your outreach, and you get your member participation for all the projects that you're doing, and even the community participation, and you need to adapt. So as long as your strategic plan has got continuity, consistency, and consensus. So if you put the 3 C's in line and merge our Rotary strategic plan and your club vision and goal, you can plan an effective 5-year plan for your club. So if you've not done so, please, it's time for you to sit down and start that planning for your club. If you have a plan in place, review them. Look at the new areas of focus. Look at the new things that's happening in RI. Look at the new things that's happening within your community. How can you outreach that, right? So what we have gone through today is basically the 3 areas, right? I just like to sort of wrap it up. You talk about the RI strategic plan, what it was, how the new strategic plan came about, and the process your club can implement and should implement in all your 4 areas of priorities. Now, these information are all available in RI through the resource. If you go into RI My Rotary, you'll get all these materials that I just mentioned, the charts, the work plans, how to go about planning your strategy, your club strategy plan, doing the assessment is all available in My Rotary, or in RI Resource Learning Reference. So this is your reference. From what information that I've presented here, it is all there. Yeah. So with that, thank you very much. And let's now look at those chats Siva has got.
I have made a thank you, Siti. I think you shared some very valuable information with all the attendees today in terms of why it is important for them to have a strategic plan and what the strategic thinking process involves. So we have some questions here, and for those of you who have not been posting, please post your questions on the chat line. There's a chat function in Zoom. If you can put your questions there, we'll take it. So the first, before looking at the questions, I'd like to run through some comments, Siti. All right, you find that basically the main comment has come from Richard. Richard from Ampang says that he doesn't believe that 74% of Malaysians are likely to have heard about Rotary. In his opinion, it's probably more like 5 to 10%, 10% being the maximum. And Danielle Kwang also agrees with this, saying that at the place where she works, none of her colleagues in their 30s seem to be aware of Rotary. Okay, and of course, Mahat then LOL that. Okay, I come from a generation where LOL means laugh out loud. I don't know what it means these days, but I assume that he is also agreeing with that comment. They don't think that 74% is the worldwide survey. They don't think that that's in Malaysia. They think in Malaysia the number is likely to be lower than that. Leo, our district governor, chimed in then to say that Tampin, his club, has no strategic plan. They never had a strategic plan. They only had one strategy, and that strategy was to make him DG. Okay, and it looks like they've succeeded. And his view is that clubs like Tampin, they tend to focus more on the present rather than the future. And Richard also agrees with him and thinks that it's about time that Ampang did an honest SWOT analysis, looking at their strengths, their weaknesses, the opportunities that they have to grow their numbers within the external environment in which Ampang is, and the future threats. Okay, so with those comments, the first question, Siti, comes from DG Leo, and that is, what advice would you give to smaller clubs when it comes to strategic planning, especially when their focus is that they're fighting for survival? Some of them has 10 members or less. What would your advice be in terms of strategic planning?
Well, I think the first thing, especially for small clubs, and I think this is just in our district, a small club can vary from 10, 15 and below. So addressing these clubs, I think the first thing we need to do in any strategic plan is assess your club's capabilities, your members, right? What are the needs of your members? I mean, in thing, we need to see what our club's needs are first.
Okay.
Like, because if we don't have the consensus of members, there's no way you can move on. Right? So if you have, so you need to first, within your club, because some clubs, they're very happy at staying 10. They don't want to grow, right? So it's whether the club is willing to grow or not. Is your members willing to move forward? If the members is just very comfortable and very happy with their comfort zone, and we are just happy with 15 people, we're just happy with this, so be it. But the thing is that how far can you go? Then you are going to limit your service to just 15 people. You know, you're going to just be happy doing a project for your small community, and you will not be able to expand. But if your club is happy about it, right, just with that 15 people, how much can you do? So you need to look first is the club, number one, prepared to move forward and prepared to grow? So what is the strategy that your club would like to look into in growing your club? It differs from every club. A strategic plan can be for a period of 6 months. If we are only 10 members, let's look at these 6 months, what can we achieve? And then we work for another 1 year, and then we work for 3 years and you work for 5 years. It's not hard and fast rule that you have to plan for 5 years, right? So plan for the first 6 months first. In the next 6 months, the new PE is coming from July to December. Can we grow 1 member? Do you want to grow 1 member? That's a simple strategic plan. How do you grow that 1 member? What is the strategic plan to grow that 1 member? We do a project. Can we invite people to the project? Simple things like that. You don't have to be very, very exhaustive, right? So if your strategic plan, your priority of your club, look at the priority of your club. If your priority of the club is we want to contribute to TRF $100 this year, right? How do our members are only not contributing at all? How do I encourage them to contribute this $100? Can we contribute to polio first? Because polio you can do fundraising. So little strategies doesn't mean long term. It doesn't mean that you have to plan, a grand strategic plan. Look at what the club priority is first. Do a 6-month strategic plan. That's it. Actionable.
Yeah. I have also a question from Eric, Rotarian Eric Yap here. His question is, okay, we always talk about the Rotary International strategic plan. He said, has District 3300 commissioned a local survey to see what would interest Malaysians to join Rotary?
We have not done a survey. I'm sure we have not done that. But I do agree with some of the earlier comments that in Malaysia, we are really not known. Okay, I can share with you the experience that we're going through with COVID right now. You can see projects that we're doing, but ask a layman, do you know what Rotary is or what Rotary is doing? Oh, dia kasih makan saja. So what are we doing for people to recognize us? So we have to ask ourselves, and that is what Rotary did. They're asking themselves at a global level. So if you're looking at Malaysian level, maybe as a strategic plan of the district, right? What can we do to get people to talk about us rather than we talk about ourselves? Maybe that's what we need to sit down and do in the next couple of months. Have a strategic plan with involving the membership committee, involving our PI committee, involving our probably youth generation, because that's going to be in these key, and we come up with a plan of action for the district, because we have a strategic plan in the district of achievements, right? We want to achieve 3,000 members in 5 years, 10 years. How do we go about achieving that when people don't know us? So maybe we need to relook at this. Maybe this year, next year, in the incoming year, IDG's Leo year, the strategic plan committee, which I'm heading, hopefully we can come up with this strategic plan, which is actionable. And that's what we're trying to do. Strategic plans that can be implemented, not just plans of words. We want to have this, we want to have that. That has been the strategic plan of the district over the last few years. We want to achieve this, but how do we go about achieving that? And that is why RI saw it. And that's why RI came up with these 4 priorities. And if we use these 4 priorities and apply that in our own strategic planning, maybe we can, in a year's time, progress to what is the percentage of Malaysians who is aware of Rotary? How many clubs engage other public agencies or other NGOs to do work with them? Those are the things that we want to know, not just about what Rotary does, telling our own story. We keep on saying, tell the Rotary story, tell the Rotary story. But people are not telling our story. We need people to talk about us.
Excellent. There are also comments, I think Shankar has made quite an interesting comment. He says that perhaps it's important, because strategic planning is very important, perhaps it's important that this should be a mandatory item for the DG to on his checklist, okay, when he visits the club during his official visit. Your comment, Siti?
I don't think it's a mandatory thing. I think it is important. It's a first priority of any, right? Short term, long term, you must have goals. So it's not something mandatory, because when it's mandatory, it's forced on you, very likely we won't do it. because it doesn't come from your own willingness. The first thing the clubs need to appreciate and understand and accept the fact that you have to have a plan of action for your club. How do you want to see your club? How you want to grow your club? It's just not about the district doing everything. The district can come up with trainings like how the trainer Kirinjit is doing, every form of training for the clubs. But how are you using this training to translate that into your own clubs and revitalize your club using all this training that has been given to you? So how many clubs are doing that? And we are always talking about to the converts most of the time. I mean, I saw this chat, DG, earlier on in the chat. He said, hey, it looks like only the same people I'm seeing attending this session as those who attended the last 2 sessions. So we are preaching to the converts. It's you people who needs to go back to your club and preach to your club members. And it starts with a strategic plan of your club before even you talk about membership, service, TRF. If you don't have a strategic plan, how can you prioritize the activities of your club? It don't have to be grand, like I said. Yeah.
Yeah, I think perhaps one way of looking at it is to think in terms of what the strategic plan actually says, right? It says, first you must have impact, then you must have reach, engage, and then you adapt. So that in a simple way, what that means really is first you must have the product. What are you selling? What is Rotary selling? And I think how we package that product is very important. Every club needs to think about how you're going to create that impact in your community, because only if you create impact will you have reach. Reach is to bring people into the organization. To reach out and bring somebody into the organization, you need to think about what impact you have on your community. And then, of course, once you've reached out and brought them into the organization, then the challenge is to keep them in the organization. So engaging them becomes very important. What kind of training programs do you have within the club to orientate new Rotarians so that they get Rotarized and become good Rotarians? And of course, I think the most important component of all of that is that you must have the ability to adapt. You must be able to change as circumstances change. And what Kiranjit is doing here with the district training is a good measure of our capacity for adaptability. So I think that's what you really need to think about. And also, Siti, Gary has chimed in to say that in his generation, LOL meant lots of love. Okay, so perhaps that's what we need in Rotary as well. Okay, moving on. Okay.
Yeah.
Sudha has asked whether your slides will be made available to all the participants.
Yeah, I'm sure it will be, right, Trader Kiranjit. I think that would be one of the things that they'll be putting up in the district portal for clubs to have access to. I'd like to look at one of these questions that Sivaneswaran. Our club strategic plan is always following the president's plan for that year. We never had a 5-year plan because every president have their own strategic plan. Friends, a strategic plan is a long-term plan. Every president wants to achieve something, but if you have a guideline, the strategic plan gives the club a guideline of 5-year achievement. A president doesn't change, a strategic plan doesn't change every year. That is not a strategic plan. That is just a plan of action. That's what the president wants to do. Your strategic plan is just looking at your growth. Like I said, the 4 key areas. There are so many other areas you can, but just basing on the 4 key areas which we talked about, your membership, your service, your TRF giving, and your image building. These are maybe the 4 key strategic. If you have youth service generation, this becomes your 5th focus, right? So every president will look into these 4 areas, like it or not, right? So, but if this year, this president achieved 2 increase in membership of 10%, next year the president wants to achieve 20%, the next year, so it goes on. At the end of the 5 year, you have a 50% increase. And that is what a strategic plan is all about, right? So when you have a plan of action, the president plans that year of how to achieve those actions that have, or those goals that have been set forth. Why do you put goal settings in my Rotary? RI has got goal settings for. And why does RI has got, where when you put in your goal setting, you can view your past I think the immediate president and the past president, at least 2 years of your club's goals. Because when you look at the past goals of your club, you will be able to assess and come up with your own goals of what your club is capable of and what your club can achieve towards a goal that your club wants to go or wants to achieve after a certain period. So you need to understand the difference between having a strategic plan and having a plan of action, of goals that your club needs to, your president wants to do every year.
Siti, we lost you at the last part of that comment. Would you like to reiterate what you just said? The last part of your comment was, we couldn't hear you.
The last part is every strategic plan, every president come up with your own set of plan so that you can achieve it according to the strategic plan that your club has already set. Your goals for that year eventually would meet the goals of the club that you have set for 5 years. So so that is how it should be. A strategic plan doesn't change every year. You review your strategic plan every year, okay? So that you can adjust your strategic plan every year. You review the growth you may have lost. So how do you review your strategic plan? Yes, you review them, but you don't create strategic plans every year. Once you have a strategic plan. If you don't have, start one now, right? And have your board, the consensus, like I say, it's a consensus of your membership of what you want your club to look at. So before we even talk about whether the Malaysian community knows Rotary, does your club members knows the club first, the direction of your club? So you need to look at inward. And that's what Rotary is telling us. Look inward. Do something progressive for yourself before others before you can inspire others to be part of you.
Right. You know, Siti, we have in the room with us past District Governor Paul Lee. He was perhaps one of the earliest adapters of strategic planning in our district. He was the chairman in 2009. And he says that, you know, way back in 2009, which is more than 10 years ago, we have already adopted at the district conference a strategic plan. And so he keeps asking the question, when we say strategic plan, what specifically do we mean in terms of club? What does a club have to do in relation to study? How does it develop its own strategic plan? And I think you've touched on that. But since he's been asking the question, I'd like to invite him to unmute and maybe share some of his thoughts since he's here with us. Right? Paul, can you hear us?
Yes, thank you, Siva. I think first of all, we have to share with the Rotarians what is a strategic plan. A strategic plan is actually something we adopt because we want to go somewhere. And if we know why we are going there and what are the obstacles along the road, we can achieve getting there much easier than if we don't have a strategic plan. So a strategic plan is a long-term process. It is not something of this president and next president. So the second thing we need to do is who are the composition of the strategic plan in the club. It should be the current president, the IPP, maybe one past president, but a few of the future leaders. They must form the strategic plan because the strategic plan is not cast in stone. Every 6 months, you must review those strategic plans. Thirdly, the strategic plan must be something the club can achieve. So it doesn't matter whether you're a member, 100 members, or you've got 10 members. You plan your strategic plan according to what you want. Like, for example, a club with 10 members. The strategic plan could be to increase by another 3 members. A strategic plan for a club that is 20 members, we will say we want to do a global grant. You know, a club with 25 members say we want to produce the next district governor. So the strategic plan has nothing to do with the size of the club. It's something that the club does. And when you do a strategic plan, it must always be achievable and it's reviewable. Every 6 months, the leaders must get together and review. Unfortunately, after the strategic plan that I proposed and adopted by the district and is part of the bylaws of the district. No governors have ever touched that district. No governors came in and did anything about it. A lot of governors didn't even know the existence of that strategic plan. So how do we move on? Are we going to have the same thing here after we have finished this? Whatever we discuss is going to just file up as part of the documents? I hope not. But it's a very good presentation, Siti.
Okay, thank you, Paul. Back to you, Siti. Surinder Deep has asked the question. He says that given that the MCO is likely to be extended, and also given that even after the MCO, there's going to be some kind of limitation on mass gatherings, right? What advice can you give boards for trying to develop a strategic plan virtually rather than face-to-face?
I see a lot of thanks, Paul, for that. I just like to address Paul for shortly. Thanks, Paul, for that. And I think what we will be doing in the incoming year, we will be reviewing all the strategic plans that has been placed or not, and probably come up with something that could relate to the current RI and develop something for our district over a period. So that's something that the committee will be looking into, just for your info. Of course, we'll look at all those previous strategic plans at the same time. Now, Siva, that's regarding the, well, a lot of clubs right now, I think one of those things that we have begin to adopt in MCO is Zoom meetings, right? And a lot of clubs are going into Zoom meetings, having their board meetings, having their regular meetings, right? Have a session just to prepare your strategic plan. Okay, like Paul say, you have your current president, you have the incoming president, you have your membership chair there, your secretary there. Look at all those priorities. You still can have them as a discussion over your Zoom meeting. You know, so maybe it's much more effective because you can invite your members to come in. Have your assembly on Zoom. That could be a start of everything else, right? Before you go into planning your strategy. Look at your club, review your club. So I see a lot of clubs are talking about projects all the time when they go to Zoom right now, because you're just talking about the COVID projects that you are doing. Go back to the new norm using the old norm, right? We still need to do our club activities. We still need to do our weekly meetings. We still need to plan. We still need to have assemblies. We still need to grow, right? So be in the new norm using the old norm that Rotary is supposed to be doing. So nothing changes. So just go online. I'm sure you can come up with you know, if those slides can help you, yes, those slides will be available. Get into the RI resource that I've given to you all, a lot of materials. Use those as a guidelines because they have got case studies, they've got charts there, what can things. So members, you have something that you can refer to, right? Yeah. Do a survey among your members first, maybe. Start with a survey among your, now everybody is free, right? So say, for example, you have a member of 20, right? Do a survey on your members, a simple jot form. Not everybody is into jot forms or Google forms, right? Do a simple survey of what the club members think about the club, what the club members is looking at the future of the club, what the members, so these are the questions perhaps could look into. And
Siti, DGND Krishna Kumar has made a very good point. He says that even though you know, strategic planning is normally medium term, long term, in smaller clubs especially, there's no reason why, as Paul said earlier as well, why they can't have a shorter term planning, say 1 year planning with some immediate goals in mind, all right? And also our district trainer Kiranjit has made it known that recordings of the training sessions that we are conducting will be made available on the district Rotary portal for those people who are unable to join us here today. Now, as well as Subra has said that, you know, maybe one of the ways to create more visibility for Rotary is for us to undertake programs involving government agencies. For example, like the KTMB Hero program that was run several years ago. What your thoughts on that, Siti?
In fact, that is what we are looking. We should be looking forward to, I mean, to be unselfish or what? But the COVID-19 is an excellent opportunity for you to go out there and work and be seen with other agencies, with the government agencies, with other NGOs, with other groups, because they can be your contributors. So this is the time for you to engage the community and get them to be part of you. So don't just do projects for the sake of going out there and giving the food. Have a strategic plan of why you're giving the food for. That's also a strategic plan. You know, that's also a plan, right? When you want to do that, you want to raise fund, you get I think PJ for that matter. They got OCBC to come in with them to do the project. So OCBC is very comfortable to give them $30,000 to run a project. So every year, if they want to run a project, OCBC could be there with them. You know, we've got another group, the Institute of Chartered Surveyors or Institute of Surveyors, Royal Institute of Surveyors. So this is the time you can actually engage with communities, right? A lot of people, a lot of clubs have gone all the way out to support hospitals. You know, we have seen that. Develop that relationship with the hospital, right? Alostar has done a great job with hospital. I think, if I'm not mistaken, Greentown has also done a great job with hospitals. So you have started that. Start growing that relationship. Do that engagement. And that's what will create an impact of others talking about you.
Yeah. Subra has asked a question. Yep. Kati, you would like to say something?
Yep. I think there were some questions who asked about strategic plan, about length of period. I think it's important that strategic plans have to be long term, either 3 years or 5 years. But there needs to be milestones achieved every year. You know, for example, say in my club, Club A, I want to achieve 30 members in the next 5 years. And my milestone says on the first year I want to achieve 5, the second year I want to achieve 8, the next year I achieve 10. So the milestones I achieve. But for the strategy plan to be effective, it needs buy-in of everyone. So when you do a strategy plan, it needs the entire club involvement. It needs the president's involvement, the president-elect's involvement, the president nominee's involvement. So all three of them buy into this long-term plan and milestones achieved every year.
Sure. I think that's certainly a very valid point that you've made, right?
Yeah.
The shorter term planning is really milestones. The strategic plan has to have an overarching...
a longer effect.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
and I think Kati made a very important thing. And I think this is what we need, the buy-in of members.
Yes.
We need the buy-in of every member in whatever plans that you're going to do.
Yes, I think Subra has the question, does the district team have a strategic plan? You want to take that?
Well, I think if Paul has addressed it, we have some plans, but we are going to review them in the coming year to incorporate the RI new strategic plan.
Yeah, excellent.
And just for the members' information, the district strategic plan members consist of the membership chair, the public image chair, the TRF chair, the general secretaries, incoming as well as current general secretaries of both for 2 years. So at least there is continuity in our plans. So we have approved on that. So that strategic plan committee is as per what we have agreed on, so that we can have a concerted effort.
Yeah, and I think that you've also, in that context, you've also answered Richard, who was earlier confused about what we were saying about long-term strategic planning and shorter-term things. I think we've addressed that. I think, Past Governor Rajinder, would you like to say something? The spotlight's on you.
Yep, thank you, Siva.
Yeah.
I'd just like to highlight that the Rotary Club Central now asks clubs to have their annual strategic plan. You got to say how many members you want to increase, amount of money you want to give to the foundation, and the projects you're going to do. I think Rotary International has started that. That's very good. Now every club fills up that strategic planning in the beginning of the year. I think that's a good start. And from there, we can work out long-term planning. That's my comment. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Past Governor Rajinder. I'd also like to invite Danielle Kwang. She's in the house. So she had some interesting ideas that she wanted to talk about in terms of enhancing the customer's journey and taking one step at a time. Danielle, would you like to share your thoughts. I like your comment. I thought I'd give you an opportunity to express why you think that we shouldn't be shock sendiri.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Okay, but basically is that, you know, I have been speaking to a couple of friends, especially in the communications area, and I have been saying the same thing. You know, we have been doing a lot of good works, and it doesn't seem to be the young ones are getting it, you know, and seems to be they don't understand what we are doing. It's just basically we are just another NGO, you know, doing good to the society, and that's all. So it doesn't give the kind of impact that we are looking for. So all of them came back with the same outcome and tells me that, look, maybe we are just flooding the general public with informations, and so we are not being heard. So it should be instead having a plan, step-by-step kind of thing, to have all the clubs in Rotary to come up with the same information, stage by stage wise, very similar to how we educate a customer. So
sure.
Yeah, so probably that is missing in what we are doing right now. Yeah, so I think that, you know, because I'm also working on my own strategic plan right now, so I'm also working together with her to look at, is it that, you know, we have to first educate the public what is Rotary, and how do we educate what is Rotary, and then later on probably only, you know, to get into more and more in-depth of that, then only we just, you know, communicate what is the activities that we are actually doing in Rotary. Maybe that is a much better way of letting public know. So yeah, this is probably a trial and error for my club, but maybe, you know, it could be something interesting that we can look at it as a whole district.
Sure. Your thoughts, Siti, on that?
Sure. Yes, in fact, that is why it's when you have a strategic plan committee, it's very important to have the key players in that committee, okay, who are your public image, your membership development committee, right? If you're talking about fundraising, right, your service project committee, and of course the youth service, I think that's very crucial also. So a committee that is set up that consists of these 4 or 5 important chairs of your club, who can come up and have a goal set where all 5 areas can be seamless whenever we carry out our project, right? And I do agree with Daniel, you know, we are just posting in FB's pictures and we're just saying we give this, we give that. It doesn't really, because that's what everybody is doing. So what is the difference that we are doing? We are not telling that for people to appreciate what we're doing, right? So we need to perhaps relook at it both at club level as well as at district level.
You know, I think, Siti, a very good idea that we could pursue at district level is to have a district showcase so that the collective efforts of all 83 clubs can be seen in one portal, right? So we have a 3300 Rotary Showcase where members of the public can come and see what the collective effort looks like. If you just look at, let's say, what Rotary Club of Greater KL is doing, it's maybe just 1% or 5% of what the district is doing. But if you put everything together, that creates more impact in the minds of people as to really the good work that Rotary is doing. So maybe that's something we should look at. For some reason, you're frozen, Siti.
Which we will be looking at.
Yeah.
Okay.
We can't hear you.
I think this is, I repeat that. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, this is something I shared with the Public Image Committee. You know, I said, like, for instance, our district Facebook, we are just sharing postings of clubs. We are just sharing other events at the same time. For example, the DTA promotion, the room promotion. We are sharing everything that's happening in the district. So when someone goes to our district Facebook, you see everything there. There's, you know, so it's like we are doing so many things, but at the same time, we are doing nothing. So maybe we need to look, as what Siva, you suggested, you know, have a proper platform where people can go in, review it. I mean, this is just a suggestion. It's not gone to any planning yet, but these are things that we will be looking into in the coming year, and how to streamline this, how to project this. and especially capturing all these moments and putting it into a showcase for our district based on what the clubs have done.
Excellent. Rajiv has an interesting comment. He says that the SWOT analysis is an interesting tool to develop strategic plan. Rajiv, are you in the house? Would you like to elaborate?
I am here because I think from a coaching point, this is a tool that will actually open up, like our past district governor Siti has opened up. We will start reflecting on our weakness, our strengths, what are areas we want to improve. And this is a good time to brainstorm and then look for a solution to develop the strategy.
Yep. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Rajiv.
Yeah,
Okay. Certainly, I think it's a very good tool to develop strategic capability, and it's worthwhile considering. I have a question here. Okay. Secretariat says that we have to wrap up in 3 minutes. Okay. So I think if we're going to wrap up in 3 minutes before we let our trainer speak, maybe we should hear from our incoming district governor. He has patiently listened to all our comments. Maybe he'd like to share his thoughts on how clubs should go about strategic planning. Yeah.
Yeah, I think, thank you, Siti. Definitely, this is a very, very interesting and a very good discussion. And I take it as a seminar. Now, there are a couple of points that I've taken note. One is, I think that's one point raised. If my club is a small club, what should we do? Now, let me just share with you. I think I don't know who's the one who raised this point. Now, I'm from Bukit Bintang, Rotary Club of Bukit Bintang. We have gone through that from a small club to a big club. Now, first of all, I think for you must have a kind of strategic plan. What do you want to be? 3 years from now, 5 years from now. When our club's membership was down to 5, we actually, first of all, got a buy-in. You have to get a buy-in from the whole club that what you want your club to be. And we say, we want our club to be the top 3 within the next 3 years. You must have that kind of political will. And once you've said that, you have to work like anything, every one of you. That's the first thing. If you really want to grow your club, that's one. Now, the other one is, I think that's one point highlighted by PDG Siti. It's a very, very valid and a strong point. That is, we are now doing COVID-19. Now, what outsiders are saying, oh, what is Rotary? Tak tahu lah, dia kasih makan saja. You know why? Because we don't engage the community. We are seen only there to give food, and that's it. If we engage the community, involve the community, then it's a different thing. But of course, right now, it's very difficult to engage or involve the community. But going forward, whatever project that we do, I just hope, we get the community's involvement as well. Once they get involved, in fact, in the case of autism, I believe a lot of the so-called volunteers, NGOs, now they know what Rotary is all about. What are the good things being done by Rotary, especially under the so-called Global Grant Autism Project. Now, I think, what else? I think, yes, talking about strategic plan, I have done a lot of planning before when I was in the corporate world, in the banking. We have a 3-year plan. We have short-term, medium, and long-term. Now, all these plans, whether short-term, medium, and long-term, they must be on the same. Yeah, we must move from here towards the end goal. Of course, review must be done. Even for the so-called the 1-year planning that you are working on, at the end of the day, it must move along the way towards the end goal that you want to achieve. That is your long-term goal. So whether it's 1 year, 3 years, or 5 years, the so-called strategic planning for the long term should be there, should be in place. Yeah, that's my view. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, maybe some input from the district trainer, Kiranjit, before I go to Siti.
Thank you, Dr. Siva. Thank you, Siti. Now, it's really a good presentation. I'd just like to comment when Siti mentioned the composition of the incoming District Strategic Planning Committee. I believe the current district chair, which is Dr. Siva himself, had included the incoming district trainer in the composition of the chair. That could be something for you to consider, PDG Siti, the incoming trainers for future years as well, so that they would know the vision that perhaps if the district has changed or is laying out something for all the clubs to consider. Secondly, I share a very good concern that a majority of our clubs, and most of them are club leaders here in this group, who are very concerned that we need some sort of direction for the next 6 months. So a short-term idea where we know that leadership, IDG or leadership is having a cognizance for or considering a way forward in the current situation to work on membership together, to work on foundation giving, to work on membership, foundation giving service in a very more in a concentrated way, so that clubs who are seriously, some clubs have a problem, they don't even know how to use Zoom. So how do they actually come together with some sort of support from district to be able to continue at least the next 6 months to bring their members together to actually have that semblance of still going on as a Rotary club. So I think strategic planning, our strategic planning committee could step in and guide clubs that are having some of these problems, and clubs do not want to own up. At least the leadership, the new leadership, we can sense that they have these concerns and they do not want to share them. Perhaps they are embarrassed. We realize some of the limitations our clubs have, our presidents has. So how do we actually move forward to that? So maybe having a job form, a way to actually share that problems with our district leadership. Thank you, Dr. Siva.
Thank you, District Trainer. I think the point you made about the composition of the District Strategic Planning Committee, Paul has also said it in the chat, and I agree with him that we actually have it's already included in the District Code of Policy because we adopted it by way of district resolution, right? So moving on, okay, I think final words must come from our trainer extraordinaire this morning. Okay, PDG Siti, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Siva. Just to add on, one is Kiran, yes, I just missed out the word traders. The trainers are in our strategic plan. Two, yes, we will be drawing up some actionable strategic plans. Three, clubs, if you do need help, and please don't be shy, contact us, contact me. We will be able to come up and help you with your strategic plan. Go through your AGs. AGs is your link. AGs, identify those clubs who do not have strategic plans. Perhaps we can help them. So the district strategic committee's role is not only to come up with our own strategic actionable plans, but to also help clubs developing their own strategic plan, how to go about it. But at the end of the day, you need to take the initiative. We give you the tools, we guide you, but you must want to do it, and that's very important. Thank you for listening to me today, and I hope I have managed to share a little bit of what strategic plan is all about, and do go back and share with your members. Like I said, we need to convert those who are not converted, and once again, stay safe, stay at home, and for our Muslim friends, Selamat Ramadan is starting tomorrow, so Selamat berpuasa. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, that's a wrap. Okay. Thank you.